All right, this is JPEG to Raw, show number 178, recorded on June 28, 2016, our last show of June. And I think summer's officially started. You're out on the West Coast. I'm here in Atlanta area, and it's hot everywhere. And down here, we had a little bit of a rainstorm today, but prior to that, we were hitting mid-90s and or hotter, and humidity was not nice either. So I'll be ready for fall.
Yeah, we're melting out here today. I'm ready for. I'm wishing for winter to come back because I don't like this anymore.
Nope. I got a mouse that's like right over your nose. I got to get. What is going on with that? Okay, Lisa. So welcome to JPEG to Raw. You've been a person who's been out in the chat and listened to the show, and I've interacted with you quite a bit over over the, I don't know, months or whatever it is. I've got to know you through other ways. And we finally set something up for you to come on the show. So thank you for coming on JPEG to Raw.
Oh, thank you for having me. Very exciting.
Yeah, and we'll try to keep the problems down to a minimum tonight. So first off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? How'd you get in? Oh, I should mention, Tim is vacationing with family this week. He's actually somewhere between where he lives and where I live right now, somewhere on the East Coast, on some beach or something. So he's on vacation. So it's just Lisa and I tonight. So, all right, Lisa, why don't you tell us a little about how yourself and how you got into photography?
All right. Well, my name is Lisa Speakman, and out here on the West Coast in Southern California, pretty much grew up here for the most part, and I didn't really get into photography much until about, I guess 9-10 years ago or so. And, I always thought I was one of those people that had absolutely no art in me whatsoever. In high school, I took, you had to take fine art or foreign language. I took foreign language because I'm like, I have no art. And, and it never really occurred to me that photography would be something that I would really want to do. I always had a camera of some sort, whether it was one of those little Kodak, the 110 film in it, and the little cube, and the little cube flash on top. Or I had one of those disc cameras. Remember the Kodak disc cameras? And, it was always some kind of cheesy piece of junk camera, but I always have one with me. I've got photos and photos from like high school and places I worked, from like 20 years ago, boxes and boxes of photos. And it never occurred to me that this would be something that I could actually turn into something. Probably my first real thought about taking photos in any kind of a real way was probably like in 2007, I guess. And I was on a road trip with a friend going up the California coast, and we were stopping and taking photos in different places. And then I came home, and this was like with the little, this was like first digital camera. It was a little Sony camera, and I think it was like 4 megapixels, little point and shoot, and then I came home and I got on the computer, and at that time, I don't know, like Windows 95 or something. And I was like, oh, cool. You can put it in Picasa and like change stuff. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. And friends kind of started saying, hey, your photos are good. And I'm like, I don't see that, but whatever. But I finally listened in about around 2010, and I put up a Smug Mug site and started taking things a little bit more seriously. Progressively got better cameras and started learning whatever I could, and it's just progressed to where it is today, such as it is at this point in time.
So growing up, you didn't have any kind of artistic background or anything?
Nope, I did not. Like I said, I was already, pushing 40 before I realized, I like this, and this could be art. This could be my form of art. Because like I said, I always thought I'm like, yeah, I'd love to be an artist of some sort, but there's just nothing in me, so it's never too late.
Yeah, I'd agree. I had no interest in painting. I took like guitar lessons once, or I took guitar lessons for a while, but once the teachers started to try and make me sing, which I don't have to go to American Idol to find out I'm not good at singing. I knew that from the early days. So, once she started trying to make me do that, I gave up on guitar too. I would have kept doing it if she wouldn't have forced me to do that, but I gave up. I wasn't that good to begin with. So I have never had any outlet either until photography came along.
Yeah, I tried a guitar probably, I don't know, 15 years or so ago. I bought like this, like the $100 electric guitar at Costco with a little amp, and I'm going to learn how to play this thing. And I couldn't do it. My uncle played guitar, and he was here, and he pulled out my guitar, and he was trying to show me some things. He's like, your nails are too long. I'm like, I don't have any nails. What are you talking about? I'm like, I couldn't do it. I ended up, I gave it away, and because it's just, as much as I would love to be able to do music, 'cause I love music, I just don't have any sort of talent for it whatsoever. So for me, the only thing I found that I had any kind of chops for was the photography, and still learning that.
Well, I guess with any art and many things in life, it's a never-ending learning experience. I think it was Mitch Russo who we had on recently. Said something that's kind of stuck with me, is don't compare yourself to other people, but compare yourself to you of yesterday, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, I'm not saying exactly, but it makes sense. Are you getting better? Are you heading in the right direction? So you mentioned some gear there, but what gear are you shooting with now?
I'm currently shooting with the Sony A7R.
Okay.
And I just have the one camera, so if it gets dropped on its head, then it's, then I cry and kill myself. So yeah, I've had that camera for just under a year.
Okay. Now I know you're in Arcanum with 80 Wheeler. Did he convince you to buy that Sony?
Yes and no.
Tim would love the fact that you're shooting a Sony, by the way.
Well, I was previous to the Sony. I was shooting with the Canon T3i, and I had really outgrown that camera. There were things that I wanted to do, especially nighttime shots and that kind of thing. That camera just wasn't up to the challenge. It's a crop sensor camera. It's not meant to do a lot of the stuff that I was really wanting to do. So. And it was about that when I was about ready to upgrade. I was seeing all the cool stuff that the Sonys were doing through Andy and through others as well. So I went to the Sony store and checked it out before I purchased, and I just fell in love with it, and I love it.
No, Sony has come a long way, and they make the chips for some of the Nikon cameras, and they're really pushing Nikon and Sony to be, Nikon and Canon to be better than what they would have been alone.
Yeah, a lot of the manufacturers now are using Sony sensors. There was a joke going around earlier that we're saying, pretty soon all cameras are going to have Sony sensors, so everybody will be Sony in one way or another.
Yeah. So I see a tripod behind you. So we got the camera. What are you shooting there with a tripod?
That is Me Photo, and I think that's actually, it's called this is the Road Trip.
Okay.
So this is, I think, their mid-range tripod, so it's good for traveling. It's not like super tiny, but it's not the big heavy one either, because I basically shoot just about everything on this tripod. I don't hardly ever shoot handheld anymore. Very rarely. So this one, I got probably about the same time I got the Sony, and I beat the heck out of it. I'm a little rough on it. I shoot a lot at the beach, and so it's always full of sand and having to pull it apart. And but it works well for me, and it doesn't have to be too heavy duty considering I'm shooting a Sony camera.
Right. And what ball head do you have on there? Do you know?
It's just the one that came with
it's the one that came with it? Okay.
Nothing fancy.
All right. So I'm getting some of the standard questions I know people want to ask out of the way. Here the first. And speaking of that, if you have any questions for Lisa, feel free to leave them in the chat, and I will try and work my way around to them as I see them. And if you see me looking up like that, I'm not just staring into space. I'm looking at the chat.
You're explaining why you're right.
You like that shirt? Yeah.
I'm loving your shirt.
I'm not arguing. Okay, so what are you Lightroom? Are you Photoshop? Are you both? What do you like to edit with?
I I do all of my organizing and a lot of my editing in Lightroom, and then as needed, I go into Photoshop, and I also use Topaz products a lot.
Hmm.
I've got the On One suite, and then of course the Nick collection, which is now free. So thank you, Google. Um, I'm all about. They're all tools in the toolbox, So I'll use anything that's going to help me get my photos to where I want. So yeah, Lightroom, Photoshop, all of the above.
Okay. And we're streaming now. I know one of the things that didn't work in the pre-show, we couldn't get it to work, was the video output that I give to Lisa. So she doesn't get to see things when I see them. She gets to see them when chat gets to see them, which is a delay. So so I may have to work my way around that. But right now, Lisa, I've started the thing where it's showing some of the photos, and we're just going to use that as a slideshow. We'll come back around to some of these later on and I'll ask you some questions about some of them maybe. And again, if anybody in chat has a question about this or any other thing, let me know. All right. So we're looking at some of the images now. What kind of things do you like to shoot?
I am all about the road trip, and so I do mostly travel stuff.
Okay.
So really, it's landscapes. I go to a lot of the times it's stuff that I can get to on a weekend, or even a 3-day weekend or something like that. Even though I have done some longer road trips, um, I've played with just about everything. I'm one of those people that sees something done and wants to try it and see if she
Hmm.
can figure it out. I spent for a while there. I spent like 2 weeks basically in the dark doing water drop shots. Um, I second shot a wedding at one point. I've done headshots for people. So I've kind of like tried just about everything, but my love is really traveling and the landscapes.
Okay. And I know, like me, you have a day job,
Oh
and
yeah.
that gets into it gets in the way of a lot of our photography. So how do you manage the day job with getting out and doing the shooting and the traveling and that kind of stuff? You just have to pick your time during the year and go do it, or how do you manage that?
I do a lot of it by stretching out a weekend, so taking an extra day off, if it's a holiday weekend, even though the holiday weekend is not really the time to travel. But and I just actually started a new job, so I won't be able to do that for a while. But typically I would, I would take, an extra day or two on a weekend from time to time, or take a week off, if I had the vacation time. You do it as you can,
Hmm.
and when you can't go far away, you get in your car and you go somewhere close.
Now, do you like to?
Because even though for other people it would be travel, even though for me it's local.
That's true. Yeah, you live out in California, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and some beautiful scenery out there. Do you like to shoot alone, or do you like to shoot with other people?
I typically shoot alone, but I love the opportunity to hook up with others whenever the opportunity arises, and go out and do some shooting. Just recently, a couple weeks ago, one of the masters in the Arcanum that I'm friends with was out in LA and said, "Hey, we're gonna. One of my apprentices wants to go shoot the LA skyline, and he knows I've shot that several times. So I'm like, hey, yeah, cool, So I went out there and met up with them, and we shot the skyline from the famous bridge, and then I took them to another spot where we took some more shots, and so both. It's fun to travel alone sometimes because sometimes people are pain,
Hmm.
when you're traveling with them. But sometimes it's really fun too. It's nice to have somebody around as long as they understand that you might take a while somewhere.
That's right. Well, I saw one of the trips you got to take, and this is one I'm jealous of, is where you got to meet up with AD Wheeler, who you're working with in the Arcanum, and maybe some other people in your cohort.
Yeah, that actually started out with there was a few of us. Because you're talking about the Joshua Tree
I think I'm
trip,
not sure
right?
where it was, but I just remember seeing, hey, I think that's AD in that photo. So I
Yep.
imagine y'all got together.
Yeah, so that was the first time I actually met AD in person. There was a few of us that are local here in Southern California, and then there was a couple of other gals in our cohort that were going to be making a trip out here. So we thought it would be cool to plan a trip out to Joshua Tree. So I got on the phone with Joshua Tree and set up a special photography tour out of Keys Ranch out in Joshua Tree, and all of a sudden, like half our cohort wanted to come and show up, and that was how that all started. So Andy ended up driving all the way across the country, met up in picking up people along the way, met up in Joshua Tree. I spent 3 days with them before they headed back the other direction, and I headed home. So we did Joshua Tree, down parts of Route 66, Death Valley, and then one of AD's favorite places in southern Nevada. And it was an awesome 3 days.
That's awesome because he's out on my side of the country. He's down over in I don't know, somewhere Jersey or New York or somewhere up there. That's a heck of a trip. So you're saying he drove out there?
He drove out here. So so basically he was gone 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so I just got to be in that little part of it there. And then he was out here again late last summer. Trey Ratcliffe had his photo walk out here, and he had one out here in LA and then one out in San Francisco. So half the Arcanum showed up to San Francisco. So I had just gotten back from a long road trip, and I made the trek back up there again to hang with everybody and for a few more days. So.
I can't imagine how that's got to be nice. With you meet these people in the pre-show. Guy out in chat, Barry, and I were talking, and he's going to be in my general area at some point. But it's just not going to work out, I don't think, this trip where we can meet up. But to actually meet up with some of the people that, you become friends with, you get to know over the internet, these virtual friends, but then to actually meet them in person, and especially someone you work with quite a bit, like AD and some of the other people in your cohort, that's got to be nice and helps that relationship, as you go back to the virtual life.
Yeah, it's just everybody that I've met in the Arcanum, they're all family to me, and so we have a very special bond. And so the times that we're able to actually get together in person are, they always end up being very magical. Something awesome always happens.
Anything magical happen that you could share with us on this trip?
How much one on the first one that Andy came out here, or
either one? Either one.
Well, actually, the first time Andy came out here, basically he had snow all the way out here, and it got to be a big joke because basically what happened is we got out to Death Valley, and Death Valley it gets very, very little rain, and you could probably count on one hand the time it snowed in Death Valley. Mm-hmm. And we had a lot of weather that day, which was really cool because usually you're in Death Valley and you've got blue skies and hotter than heck. And
yeah.
And we got out there and the storm was rolling in. We went up at the end of the day. We went up to Dante's View, and it actually started to snow. And that just, it was just like one of those things. And of course, I was excited because being from California, I hardly ever see snow unless I intentionally drive somewhere to go find it. And Andy wasn't as excited about it as I was at the time.
Well, you got to tell Andy, hey, this is an unusual thing. You can get shots that the average person's not going to get from here.
So things like that tend to happen. Just things that, you would never get the kind of shots that we got that day on a normal weekend in Death Valley. And then when we were in San Francisco doing the photo walk, and we were all going to go up to the Golden Gate Bridge to do some shooting, and we were about to call some Ubers to take us up there. And lo and behold, this limo comes pulling up and says, "Hey, you guys want to ride?"
What?
So just so out of the blue, this is the kind of thing that happens. We ended up shoving 12 of us into this limo and taking it up to the lookout for the Golden Gate Bridge. And then the guy ended up hanging out, waiting for us. And he actually ended up taking us all the way back to where our cars were, which is, we had parked south of the city and taken the train in. So it was just like, that stuff just doesn't happen.
No.
It's like 12 photographers in a limousine hanging out and sitting on top of each other, but really having a great time. So just that kind of fun stuff just seems to always happen when we get together.
Wow. I wonder if that guy knew what he was in for when he asked the question, do you guys want to ride?
He had to have known there was hope. And we had, all of our gear.
Gear, yeah.
So 12 photographers with gear, and but he was very cool, and he was going the direction of where our cars were parked, and so he's like, yeah, and I think it cost us like $20 a person, and he just drove us all over the place, and
Well,
it was a
that's
great night.
awesome. That's awesome. And I, looking through your photos, and I could see some of them with some of the people I knew, and I really like that whenever we as photographers can get together, because so often we're willing to share and help each other on in virtually, but so often we have busy lives, especially with people who are doing day jobs too. It's hard to get together sometimes.
Yeah, and I would really encourage anybody, to find a few friends that you can shoot with occasionally, at
Hmm.
least, and find some friends that know more than you do. You know,
Yep. I know. So back in the day when I used to be in better shape and play tennis, you're always told to play with somebody better than you. Because anybody worse than you, you're going to end up coming down to their level. You're going to help them. You're going to bring them up, but you're going to go down along with them. So if you play somebody who's a little better than you, then they can bring you up.
right? But
Yeah, selfish, I know.
but it goes both ways too. So I mean, I love helping others. With whatever I know, I'm happy to help others, and then but it's always nice to have some people above you that you can go to and say, hey, how would I do this, or just get some good feedback.
Yeah,
Somebody that'll really tell you what's up.
yeah.
Rather than your friends on Facebook just saying, hey, yeah, you're awesome, and you're like, okay, good.
So let me ask you this question. So and let me preface it with this: is my oldest son is now in college to go in the same profession I am, accounting, and one of the things he has this perception of accountants that maybe a lot of people do, but he has a certain perception of accountants, and he's I don't want to be like that, and I tell him you don't have to be what your day job is. That's not you. You are still you. So find something that you like, something that, you go to work, you do a good job there, you're trying to build your career, but that doesn't mean it's the only thing you do. If you like working out, if you like, whatever, traveling, if you like photography, whatever it is, that can be define you even more than your work. In your case, what does photography mean to you?
My day job is just what I do to pay the bills.
Hmm.
um Photography is what, I guess the expression would be like lights me up inside. That's what I really, want to do with my time whenever I can. um it's just so much fun, and it is an outlet. It's an artistic outlet that I was holding in for like 3/4 of my life.
Yeah.
Or the part that I didn't realize I had, and now it's just like, um, it's really all I want to do. If I didn't have to work, I wouldn't. I just You would if I didn't have to work, you would never see me again. I would be so far out there on the road. You'd have to like drop in GPS waypoints for me.
But does it, for some people it may recharge them on the weekend. Some people want to relax and just do nothing and veg and watch TV over the weekend. Some people want to go camping or do it, spend time with family. But for others, photography is what recharges them and gets them. You may dread Monday again. I can't believe the weekend's over already. But it also, you think back, wow, what a good weekend I had doing this, and that helps take you to the next weekend.
Yeah, and it's and I don't always get out on a weekend. It just depends on what's going on, but I'm always doing something with photos. Maybe I'm editing photos that I took a weekend or two ago, or I'm writing my next blog post, or whatever. But it's all related, and I enjoy all of it. It's one of those things that it doesn't feel like work to me because I so enjoy it. And so yeah, that's why I like, on the weekend, that's what I like to do, and I do it as much as I can. Sometimes, especially now that it's, the sun's not going down here until like 8:30 now. So sometimes it's even, heading down to the beach and doing some long exposures in the evening and trying to catch a sunset, on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night or
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
So I try to fit it in wherever I can, because it's kind of like breathing.
Yeah, and that's true. You don't have to wait till the weekend. especially down here. It's not getting dark until after 9:30, maybe 9:30, something like that. So you have some time to do that.
Yep, absolutely.
And I know you've done some projects too, some various projects. One of them I wanted to ask you about is you did a 100 Strangers project.
My abandoned 100 Strangers project.
And I thought I would come back around to that after you talk about it, because I thought about projects that you don't get to the finish of. I have some comments on that, but go ahead, tell me about what your thoughts were with that project.
Yeah, so what happened with that is I tried for 3 years, I think 3 or 4 years running, to do a 365 project, and never really got very far with it. It's like one of those things. It's just like, okay, it's 11 p.m. How many pictures of my cat can I put up in this project before, And so about a week into my last 365 project, I want to say maybe it was 2013, something like that. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is just stressing me out. It's not fun because I feel all this pressure to put like some masterpiece piece of artwork up every single day. And some days there's just other things going on. Some days there's just nothing that inspires me to take a picture. And it's just like, I gave up, but I still wanted a project. So, I went on, if you do a Google search, you can, Google search photography projects and find lists of suggestions all over the place. And I kind of thought it'd be a cool idea to see what I could do as far as maybe honing some portrait photography skills. And, I'm not really one so much for street photography. I'm trying to learn it a little bit, but, I always kind of feel awkward, like just taking pictures of people on the street without them knowing. So I saw this idea for a 100 Strangers project. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, because you actually kind of get to know somebody, and you tell them what they're doing, and you get a dialogue going with them. So I think I want to say there's 4 photos in my 100 Strangers project that died. The first one was actually, I think it was my daughter. I practiced on my daughter. And then I practiced on a guy that I worked with. And then I went to Test and Chili Cook-Off is every June. And so I'm like, oh, I'll go to the cook-off. I'll find lots of people. And I found a couple of people and introduced myself, and they let me take their picture. And so I did that. And that's pretty much where it died. Because right after that is when I joined the Arcanum. And then I started working on other stuff and kind of tried to start focusing the direction that my photography was going to go. But I think personal projects are an awesome way to number one, give yourself a goal. Number 2, it just kind of helps. Sometimes, like if you're in a rut, it helps to get you out of a rut.
Right.
And you learn, and it doesn't have to really go anywhere. But I think it's just a great tool for growth. And then, I lost my train of thought, but anyway.
No, I agree. And I was thinking about this, and I think I have it now, so I can pull it up. Nope, that's the wrong one. I got to do this right. There we go. So you'll see it in just a little bit, but I saw the 100 Strangers project that you were doing on your Google Plus page. So I have a few of the photos. One of the guy with the mustache, I think he's one of them.
He was an actual stranger.
Okay. Then your daughter was one of them, and her picture, I think maybe the same picture is behind you on the right and on your left.
Yes, that is wherever. I'm all turned around, but yes, that is the same picture.
Yeah.
And that was my daughter.
And then another one of a lady, a white-haired lady.
She was an actual stranger.
Yeah. So, I was thinking about this, and I think it's different for each person. Projects are great for people to get you out there and doing it, but don't let it stress you out and that, oh my gosh, I'm behind, I'm never going to finish this, I had a goal for a date with that. Look, no one's going to punch you in the face for not finishing your own project. And
yes.
if it's not a paid gig that some client is waiting for you to deliver, it doesn't. You can say, all right, that got me out of whatever rut I was in, got me going. I'm going to stop that project and move on to another project. And maybe I'll never finish any of these projects, but maybe along the way, I keep pushing myself and keep moving. So I'm one of those ones that would actually get myself stressed out. So I was thinking about this today because I was pretty sure you didn't finish it. I was
Yeah.
thinking, well, now if I started a project and I didn't finish it, what would happen? Would I stress myself out? And that's one of the things I've got to improve on myself is don't worry about not finishing those things that, hey, if you did 5, that's 5 more than you were going to do if you didn't do this project.
Yeah. It's one of those things when you start to stress yourself out over it, then it's not fun anymore. And then in some ways, I think it's kind of detrimental because then you're so like all tense, that you're focused more on like this pressure to get this thing done than you are on actually creating. So I think it's different for everybody because I know some people who are really, really good at doing the 365 project and they can take something, like a remote off of your desk and turn it into a piece of art, every day. But I'm just not one of those people. And it took me a while to learn that. It took me a while to like, okay, yeah, I think this is a good idea and I enjoy it when I see it from others, but it's just not for me. So I think, if you're going to pick a project that works for you so that you're not feeling this constant like stress and angst and self-loathing over your project. It's good to have it push you. So maybe a little bit of stress, just trying to learn something new. But once it becomes a burden, it's time to just let it go. And like you said, nobody's going to beat you up because you quit your own project.
and everybody's different. What photography means to a different person may be different. I'm a hobbyist. There's lots of people who do this for a living, so it's probably different for them. For me, I want photography as was said out earlier. I'm sorry, it scrolled off the screen now, so I don't see it. But one of the guys who's out in chat said that photography for them was a big stress relief. It helps them relieve stress. And that's what I want. I don't want to come home more stressed out than I left when I went out to shoot. And there was a time when I was shooting soccer for a company. And at first, it was kind of cool that, they were paying me a little bit of money I could use to help buy more gear. I didn't have to worry about editing. I just handed off my card to a runner. And I got to shoot all day long. And, and find different ways to make that interesting when I'm shooting sports. By the second year, it became, wait, this is a whole separate job. I have a job.
I need to get paid.
Well, I was getting paid. It was, $20, 20 or $25 an hour. So it was all right. But it was, I have a day job. I don't want to then come to the weekend and we're working soccer tournaments. So it's show up at 6 a.m., leave at 8 p.m. type thing. And that's Saturday and Sunday. So it was, the weekdays were a relaxing time for me. And so I stopped doing that just because I don't want this to turn into work. I want it to be a hobby. I want it to be a stress relief. And that's what it is for me. So, so starting these projects like you did, and whether you finish them or not, it doesn't matter. It's what you got out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And the few that I did, I liked. I thought it was cool. I had a good time doing it. But then, things kind of happened and I went a different direction. And like I said, I've tried just about every kind of photography there is, but, I needed to focus and, because I had this idea in my mind, and I don't know if there's other photographers out there that think this way, but it's just like you have one genre that you really like, that you really enjoy, and this is what you want to do. But then those of us that someday dream of actually making a career out of this think, oh, I've got to do this kind of photography in order to be able to do that. And that's where I was. I thought if I'm ever going to be a professional photographer who actually makes a living doing this, then I need to shoot portraits. But my heart's not in shooting portraits, so there are a lot of things I like to try. And once in a while I do, shoot some, I still shoot portraits every once in a while, but it's like my daughter got married a month ago. I shot her engagement photos. But it's not like, okay, this is what I'm doing all the time. It's one of those things that's like whenever I do shoot portraits, I go, oh God, I hope these come out good because this is really not my thing, So, there comes a time you try all these different things, but then there comes a time when you start to kind of say, well, this is where I really want to go with it. Whether I ever make money at it or I do, or whether I do or I don't make money at it, this is the way I want to go. And this is what makes me happy. So that's pretty much where I'm at now. It's just, I do want to do the traveling. I want to do the writing. and seeing the cool places and bringing pieces of those places home with me to share with everybody else. And that's what makes me happy. So come heck or high water, that's the direction I'm going to go.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you. Let's see. What did I have? Oh, let me pull up this photo.
Okay.
And of course, this is where the fact that you can't see it, we're going to have to go with a little bit of delay. But I'll just try and describe it, which will
good.
help out some of our audio listeners. And I always forget about the audio listeners. I'm sorry, guys. That people who get the show audio only, you really should come and when you have a chance, go to the website. We'll have links to Lisa's website and her YouTube channel where she has some YouTube videos. And some all of her stuff that I know of. We'll have the links there so you can go see these photos that we're about to show yourself and see them actually in better quality what I'm going to show. But this first one I want to pull up, it's one you've edited, so it's obviously edited. This didn't happen in real life, but it is a reddish sky that's kind of got sunburst, starburst or whatever in it, and the grass. What have you done there? Crap.
That is my ode to
Starry Night?
Starry Night,
Yeah.
yes.
So it started off as a regular photo, obviously, right?
It did. This was a photo that I originally took in Big Sur somewhere. So like just along the road. And so basically I'm standing, there's the fence there and I'm standing there and there's this, jetty that kind of comes out. And I took some photos there, and they weren't the best, most amazing photos, but I kind of just got this idea because Van Gogh has always been one of my favorite painters, and I was playing with some path blur effects and just some different stuff in Photoshop, and also I used a little bit of Topaz Glow on this, and then also Topaz Star Effects to do some of the stars. And so what started out as kind of a bland little photo kind of ended up being my ode to Van Gogh.
Well, I love this. I love the colors that you use in this one. And typically, I don't pull these into the stream that I'm going to show in there because, hey, photography is art. Unless you're a photojournalist, what you do with it after you take the photo is up to you, in my opinion. But these, I generally don't bring them into the photography show. But I like this one so much. I like the colors and the way you did it. I was like, wow, I wanted to ask you about this one.
Well, thank you.
And I have a couple other I want to ask about. So let me find them. I'll bring us back over. Right. And I got to find it. One of them is, I'll describe it as I get it. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, and I'm not apologetic about my editing either.
No. It should be however you want to do it. All right. This one, there's something that's large. This was the Roy's vacant motel cafe. It's the big sign, and there's not a whole lot else going on in the scene. It really is towering over everything else that's out there. It's in the left third, and your sky is nice and creamy. And to me, there's something like larger than life with this sign. I come across this one, and you have lots of gorgeous photos, but for whatever reason, this was one of my favorites. I love this photo and how it has that larger than life feel. What is...
This was on the trip that Andy came out here for. So we had done Joshua Tree the day before. And so on our way from Joshua Tree to Death Valley, we went, this is Old Route 66. So this is there's an old motel and cafe there. The cafe is still open. The motel is now, the rooms have been turned into little artist installations. And I just love the sign because I had actually seen photos of this sign and of this place previously. I had never been there. And it's one of the places I had actually been wanting to try to get to. And we were out there on our way up to Death Valley, and I was like, there's Roy's. And so we all stopped and took some photos. And the sign is just so iconic that I had to get the sign. And it was this was really, really early in the morning. So it was pretty overcast. There was a lot of, so it's thick cloud cover. So I did play with the colors, obviously.
You know what Chuck says out in chat, and I just thought about this too. The TV show Better Call Saul, which is a spinoff of Breaking Bad, it makes them think of that, and it does me a little bit too. Um, but I don't know. To me? And of course we're streaming it here. Go to her website and see it because I'm a little disappointed in how I see it here in the stream because it seems so small. When I looked at it on my when I looked at it on my regular screen, it was like, wow, that is just it's powerful.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites from that weekend because there's still a lot of photos from that weekend that I haven't worked on because I just wasn't really satisfied with quite a few of them. But this one was one of my favorites right off the bat. So I appreciate that.
Oh, and AD's out in chat now. So my description of photos, AD, don't be too critical of them. I'm doing the kindergarten.
AD.
I'm doing the kindergarten version of describing photos, in case for our audience of kindergartners. All right, let me find another one. We've streamed through all of them here, but there's a few that really stood out to me that I really liked. I wanted to ask you about this one. This one is some kind of fern forest or something. Just gorgeous. And look in the scale that you had by placing that dude in there.
Okay, that helps me know which one it is.
Okay, so yeah, sorry. I forgot that you can't see them right away.
That's okay. There's a couple that it could be, but that is actually, it's a place called Fern Canyon. And yeah, that's one of my favorites too. Last summer, I took a 12-day road trip. And this is up in Redwoods National Park, up along the Northern California coast. So you're basically almost to Oregon in this place. But I really haven't spent much time in Northern California. So I was looking for spots to go that I never heard of because I wanted to find some new spots. And I heard about this place called Fern Canyon. And they actually filmed parts of Jurassic World, so the second one in the series, okay. In Fern Canyon, which is funny because I actually went back and watched that a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "Yeah, that's Fern Canyon. I recognize it." So yeah, basically, you go up there and you hike into this canyon, and it's immense. You literally feel so tiny, and a lot of times I don't put people in my photos, but having somebody in the photo to give it a sense of scale really shows how big it was because you just feel like you're just going into this place that it's just so green and just the ferns and the walls are just dripping with water. The water's coming down the sides. Wow. I mean, you feel like you're like in an Amazon rainforest, on the California coast, and you're crossing creeks and all kinds of stuff, but it's an amazing place if anybody has a chance to go there.
Yeah, without the man there, I really wouldn't know how big this was. When I first looked at it, I didn't truly know what I was looking at because of, how big is this? I'm not sure how big that tree trunk is. Oh, there's a guy. And now that is massive. When you see the guy that's there and how massive it is.
Yeah, and AD is in the chat giving me heck because basically when I was working on this photo, there was a couple of different versions and some of the people were further back and I'm like, I want to keep them, but they're not there. And then I came up with this one. He's like, yeah, so he kind of helped me on this one. So shout out to AD.
He did not feed me with that line. I moved in the first grade there. All right, so let me do one more. And oh, by the way, I had somebody text me about the shirt. They want to know where they can get their own. This is a Walmart special, so go to Walmart. I think they're like $5. All right, let me find this other one. I say other one as I'm going through it. There's so many I want to ask you about, but I know we don't have the time. I wanted to ask you about the lightning shot that you had. Oops, start that. Bring it over. The lightning shot, because here you're taking it on a beach. I imagine that maybe that's an ocean or a big lake or something like that that's out there. And I love these
Pacific Ocean.
Okay, I love. Oh, there's another one. I skipped to the second one. I want to stay on the first one. I love the ones where there's not all the trees and impediments, everything else that's around it, but you're really feeling the power of the lightning, either over ocean like this or out in a valley. I mean, out in a desert or something like that. I love this shot. And how long did you wait there to get this? And tell me about the shot.
I chased this storm actually. Um, this was like one of those things. It was like it was my bucket list item. I mean, living where I do in Southern California, we don't get lightning very often. And when we do, it's usually not, it's like, I don't want all the houses and whatever.
Hmm.
But getting lightning shots was like on my photography bucket list. And so, I was actually had gone down to a place called Back Bay in Newport Beach to look for a sunset. And I was out shooting a sunset, and there was some clouds and some storm coming up in off the coast. And as I was standing there, and it's not even dark yet, and there's just like one really big cloud. There's like this little bitty piece of lightning that comes like in this cloud, and I didn't catch it, but I'm like, interesting. And I saw it a couple of times, and then it kind of went away, and it got dark, and I started to, I went to get in my car and started to head home. And as I was pulling out of the bay there, I see lightning in the distance. So I'm like, oh heck, here we go. so, so I basically chased the storm all the way down the coast. I started out in Newport, and then there's a spot down in San Clemente that I like to go. So I'm like, I'm going to go hit up the San Clemente Pier, and which is where I actually got a lightning shot of an actual meteor that blew up in a cloud while I was standing there. But there's like a lot of, the piers in the shot, and there's a lot of yucky light from the coast there. So I went down a little further down the beach. This is actually my favorite shot in San Clemente, and it's darker, obviously, which was good. And I just stood there on the beach with my tripod, just taking these long exposures. And this storm was coming in, so I was getting all these lightning shots, and I was just dancing the happy dance to get these amazing shots of lightning that didn't have all this crap.
Yeah.
In the foreground. I wanted those lightning photos that were pretty, not the ones that like, oh look here, put it on the nightly news or whatever. So yeah, I stood there and watched this storm start to come in, and when it started to sprinkle on me, I was like, okay, I'm out of here. I don't want to be right under it, but I was probably out there for a good hour just doing a bunch of long exposures trying to capture the lightning, and I got quite a few good ones. And then
Yeah, I have a second one here. I'll show in just a second.
Yeah, so as it started to move more on shore, I was like, okay, time to pack up because I don't want to get wet, and I don't think standing there with a tripod on the beach is a good place to be when the lightning's right over you.
And being wet, yes. Barry Willie says you're a brave woman.
Well, thank you, but I wasn't that brave because it started to sprinkle and I ran for the car. But I got what I went for, and I was so excited. So I was really happy that that I got a couple of really good shots out of it.
And when you say long exposure, how long were you having to keep the shutter open for these?
I think I was doing probably about 30-second exposures.
Okay.
I think, yeah, I think most of them were about 30 seconds because you don't ever know where the lightning is going to be or when it's going to happen. So you just leave the shutter open and it's dark.
Sure.
So you can get away with that. And so you just hope that somewhere in that 30 seconds that you get a bolt of lightning.
Something. Similar to if you're doing like fireworks or something, right?
Yeah, sort of. Fireworks, you have more of an idea where they're going to be. But yeah, same idea. Yeah. The lightning will expose for you. And so I just, I think this was probably like F8. I was just doing 30 seconds and letting the lightning just hopefully happen.
So AD says, love you, Lisa. The only person I know that blows off a huge meteor that no one else got a photo of and lightning in the same night. But yeah, meteor, no biggie.
You didn't ask me about the meteor, Andy.
Well, is there a shot of the meteor? Did I have a shot of the meteor? I remember seeing
there is a shot on the meteor in that same in that same album on my website.
Okay.
And that was a little bit earlier in the night before I headed to this particular spot where I got the lightning. I was shooting lightning by the pier, and all of a sudden I just see this flash of light over my left shoulder. I'm like, what the heck is that? And you hear, I mean, it like lit up the sky, and and you actually heard it. I mean, it almost sounded like a
Wow.
siren. And
I've never heard one before.
I've never seen a meteor like that, and I wasn't even sure of what it was, honestly. Andy was like, when I came home and I showed him, like, what the heck, and Andy's like, oh my God. And yeah, it was an exploding meteor, and it just happened to, it came from out of my sight, over my left shoulder, and basically went into a cloud and exploded inside the cloud. And I was in the middle of exposing for hopefully lightning at the time. And after I saw that, I was like, please tell me I got that in the frame. Please tell me I got that in the frame. Because I wasn't sure, how wide my lens, how wide I was getting. And so, yeah, I actually did get that one. And so it was, that was a really cool night. That was one of those magic nights that you have once in a while when you're out shooting.
And do you remember which portfolio it's in? I can look it up.
If you go to Lightning, and I think it's called Lightning and Meteors.
Okay. Hold on. We're gonna go there now. Lightning and Meteors. And lightning.
Oh, look at Andy's got the link up there for you in the chat.
Maybe I'm not in the right one.
I'm very lucky that Andy's like my biggest fan.
No, I'm in the right one.
Yeah, so it's the third one there.
Oh wow! Yes, I didn't even recognize that at first. So, yeah, I don't remember if I had this one in the group or not, but I can see it. I can see it now. You got a shot of the pier. It looks like.
So there's the piers in the shot. So there's a black and white one, and there's a color one that I left in color. Because I put that out to the.
There's the color one.
There's a color one that was done for more of a documentary shot because the Weather Channel wanted to use it. But this is my art shot of it. Is the black and white. So basically, that's where the meteor came over and went into that cloud and went boom.
and yeah, so that's what I'm seeing in the cloud where you can see the glow in the cloud is where the meteor exploded.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was interesting because I've never seen a meteor like that. I mean, it's completely different than seeing like a shooting star or whatever. It was like you almost want to like swim out there and go find it, but it's probably like 20 feet underneath the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
AD saying, yeah, you're the only one who got it. Lots of people saw it, but you're the only one who got a photo of it.
I wasn't looking for meteors. I was looking for lightning.
Hey,
I was just chasing the storm, and it just happened to happen. And so it was a pretty cool night for sure.
yeah, well, that is a good night. Good, some awesome lightning shots and a once in a lifetime probably meteor shot.
Oh yeah, I don't see that ever happening again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, what's the chance of getting hit by lightning twice?
Yeah, that's true. Well, Lisa, it's already been an hour, and we still have a couple things to do here. And I know Lisa's been so grateful, so gracious to turn off her AC for us, so it's not too loud in the background. And I know it's got to be like 100 degrees in that room by now, so we'll speed things up here toward the end for you. But I wanted to ask you, the new segment we're doing is what's in your camera bag. And I'd like to ask you, what's in your camera bag? What is in Lisa's camera bag?
What's in Lisa's camera bag? Okay, well, we already talked about the tripod there, so it's usually hanging off the side of my bag. So I'll grab my bag here. So it's got this kind of cool little canvas bag here. I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
And if I can get my cat to move, I will open this thing up. So, of course, we've got the Sony A7R, and this is the 16-35 f4 lens. And this is pretty much, I shoot 99.9% of all of my shots with this lens here. And then it's missing its strap because I love this strap. This is the Peak Designs slide strap, which is kind of cool. Because a lot of times I'm out at the beach or on a tripod doing long exposures and you don't want anything to move. So you can take these off really easy. It just clicks in there.
That's nice, yeah.
And it's a very, very comfortable strap. And so it's like, my favorite. And you just like these little, almost like, I want to like car seat,
Yeah.
seat buckle. But they're very easy to just slide.
Very
And
easy to put
then
on, take on, and take off. Yeah.
take on and take off. And so it just connects to that plate there. And then let's see, I've got the standard broken on 14 millimeter 2.8 lens for the Sony. Then this is what I do my star shots with. Go out to Joshua Tree and get some Milky Way shots with that.
Okay.
Everybody and their uncle has that. So it's a nice lens for the money. It really is.
You're the second person I've heard mention that lens recently.
I think just about everybody I know has that. It's like we all bought it at the same time. And then I've got a vintage Minolta 50 millimeter 1 point. I think this is a 1.7.
1.7.
I took my glasses off, so now I can't see. But I think it's 1. Yeah, it's a 1.7.
Okay.
And then I've got the adapters for that, and a 2x converter, so I can use the 50 for 100. And then I have.
So you're using that on your 50 to make the 50 a 100?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I have this big boy here that doesn't always fit in the bag, but this is a vintage. This is a vintage Sigma that I don't think anybody ever used before I bought it off of eBay. And this is a 100 to 200.
Okay.
And I also have in my bag I've got the adapter and a 2x converter for this one as well.
And is that Sony you have a crop sensor or full frame?
Full frame.
Okay. So you're taking that 200 with you said 2x, so you're taking it all the way out to 400 then.
I could. Yeah. It's hard to keep it still at that point.
Yes.
It takes some practice, but I make it work. And then depending on where I'm going, I've got a young Nuo flash gun. I've got this in my bag still because I was taking pictures at my daughter's wedding. And when I have this in the bag, I always have some gels. Okay.
Yeah.
To
what kind of gels were those?
These are it's a Strobus collection.
Strobus.
So it's just so there's a whole bunch of different colors in here. Mostly I use it to warm it up, because a lot of times the flash light is very, very cool. So I try to match the light from the flash to whatever light is in the room. Let's see. Allergy medication. Always a plus.
So out in California, is allergies an issue? I thought, I envision California as being more dry.
For me, it is. You get out there in the dust of the, and
okay.
And depending on where you're at, and let's see, I've got a trigger trap.
Trigger trap, yep.
And I use this a lot of times when I'm doing my long exposures, and I need to go past 30 seconds. And it also has it's an app on your phone. And I also have somewhere, I'm not sure where it is, a little thing that looks like just a little holder that goes into your hot shoe on your camera. So it'll hold your phone, and then you connect the phone to the app on the phone and can do your long exposures. Extra SD cards.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Tape. Just
Tape.
In case. Tape is a good thing to have, and it works.
What have you had to use that for?
Oh, it just
because that's regular Scotch tape, right?
That's regular old Scotch tape. I'll use it to put my gels on my flash gun, or tape a note to my car, or if something starts to fray,
Yeah.
You never know. A little thing of tape and takes up no room. And then I've always got a couple of these lens pins in the bag. And let's see, a little headlamp. So when I'm out there late at night and I need to get back, I can.
Oh, that's bright. Yes.
I can. Oh shoot! Can't get it to turn it off now. But yeah, so it's handy to have because you're trying to maybe hike out of some place and it's dark and you've got all your gear, and so you don't have a whole lot of hands free. So this works really good. Let's a lens cleaner and a soft cloth.
Okay.
And then I usually have, and I don't think it's in here right now, but I have a portable battery charger for my batteries. And then here's the adapter for it. So this plugs into my car. And so I can be driving from one location to another. I can have one battery in the camera and one battery charging. Good for long trips. I don't usually use this for this for short trips, but long trips where you need to keep your batteries charged, that works really well.
Right.
Sensor brush, in case I need to get some dust off my sensor.
And I imagine when you're out in the field doing that, you do it in the car or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it in the car and, turn off the AC or whatever so that you're not blowing stuff all over the car. And then my go-to item is my 10-stop ND filter. I use this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. And then just a couple other tools. I've got the blower for your lenses to blow the dust off your lens.
Right.
And then I also have and these just kind of hang off the side of my bag here. This is the hex key for my tripod. So if my tripod plate starts to come loose on my camera or something, I can tighten that up real quick.
That is a good tip because a regular screwdriver is going to be hard. You're going to strip some. You may strip it a little bit if you try and use a regular flathead screwdriver. Keeping one of those things around that fits your tripod is a good idea because you get away from home and you need to tighten it up, and you're kind of stuck.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and actually, I think this is the one that actually came with it. So I just put it on a key ring, and so it sits with my blower, and it just hangs off the side of my bag here, so that it's easily accessible. And so if my plate starts to come loose, I can tighten it down.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much it that's in there right now. That's pretty much the bulk of my gear. Usually, I'll have some additional like AA or AAA batteries, whatever.
Yeah. They're talking about the batteries out in chat. They said when you shoot Sony, you can never have too many batteries. Yeah, at least 10 batteries. That's Chuck. Justin says, yeah, at least 10 batteries.
Well, I did a 12-day road trip last year, and I did a lot of camping. I always try to do it like on the cheap, so it's like I always kind of mix in some not 5-star hotels with some camping, and so I've got 5 batteries, and I never came close to exhausting all of them. Even on the days that I wasn't in a hotel where I could plug in, I always had one on the charger in the car. And so,
what kind of batteries are you using with that? It's not like double A's, right?
No, it's just these little batteries here.
Okay.
And so they send you one when you buy the camera. It's like, okay, one. That's like doesn't get you very far. But everybody talks about the battery life with Sony's, and it's like, I don't know, it hasn't been that bad for me. But I don't know, maybe my old camera was bad on batteries too, so I don't notice the difference.
Well, how many shots would you say you can get off of one charge with that battery?
It depends. Because I've been out all day, but the camera's on and off. If I'm like continuous shooting, I don't know, maybe 300, 400. It just really depends on the situation. But yeah, so I've got the original one plus 4 of the these little off-brand ones that I got, which worked just fine. And so I've got 5 total. And so whenever I go out to shoot, I make sure I've got a couple of them. And then if I'm on a longer trip, I've got enough where I can keep one on the charger in the car. And then I've never come close to going through all of these batteries in a weekend or anything like that. So it's not as bad as they say. I'm just saying.
All right. Well, Lisa, thank you for sharing what's in your camera bag. That was fun to watch all your stuff there. One of the things maybe to people who are Canon, Nikon, we're getting 12, 13, maybe 1,500 shots off of one battery. So if you're coming from that, you may be going, wow, that is not a whole lot of shots on one battery. But again, your Sony camera is much smaller than my Nikon sitting behind me. And they're probably trying to save space by putting a smaller battery in there, and that's part of the trade-off.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what all the differences are as far as what it's pulling. Because we're using the electronic viewfinder, which is on
That
the
also
Sony.
too, yeah.
If you've never seen a Sony with that beautiful viewfinder, you gotta. The first time I looked through the Sony and that electronic viewfinder, I was like in love. I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And what I really like too is on the Sony, because like when you're shooting out somewhere during the day and you're trying to look at the back of your camera and you just can't see, there's so much glare. And you try to get this shade, but it doesn't really work. You can't really see what you're doing. But being able to put that camera up to your eye and look through it and you feel like you're looking at your photos that you just took, like in a little miniature theater. But it's really nice to be able to actually see what you've got,
Yeah.
rather than you're looking at the back of the camera going, I think that looks okay, but I can't really see very well, so I'll trade off, that beautiful viewfinder for bad battery life any day.
Yeah, and I'm sure that electronic viewfinder is part of as Chuck said, that's probably a big part of the reason why the battery life is less. Because on one like the one I have behind me, it's using a mirror. It's not using electronic viewfinder.
And you can get a grip for it. I do believe they have a battery.
You can get a grip for it.
And I don't choose to.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that big a deal to me. Like I said, I've always got my bag with me, and it's not a big deal to put 3 or 4 batteries in a bag.
Yeah.
And it works fine. If I was doing I can't see the name because I have to put my glasses off, but I said something about doing weddings and stuff. Now if I was doing something like that, I probably would put a battery grip on it. But so you kind of got to gauge it by what it is you're trying to do.
Yeah. All right, Lisa, thank you. So a couple of wrap-up questions here, and then I got my end of the show stuff I got to go over. But the travels you've done, what would you say if you had one place that is on your bucket list? What is the location you'd love to go shoot? And I think I know what it is, but what was the place you'd love to go shoot? It would be on your bucket list if you had just one place you can go to.
Iceland.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say. I would love to go there too.
I'm going to go there someday, and yeah.
That is on my bucket list.
I don't want to do the tour either. I want to rent a Jeep and
Yep.
do the whole out there on your own, just taking your time, getting all the shots you want. Yeah, that's like top of my bucket list.
Yes. Iceland is on my bucket list too. Maybe we can do it at the same time.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay, what is next for Lisa? What do you want to do next?
Oh, gosh.
Outside of Iceland.
Outside of Iceland. I just want to take a lot of trips. That's really what I want to be able to eventually retire and I would love to actually just spend my life on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ben Wilmore and his big bus that he just travels on, just can, you just go and do. And, so I think that's I don't know that that's next, but that would be, the ultimate, dream come true for me, is to be able to just travel and write and take photos and meet people and
okay.
see all the cool stuff. There's so much cool stuff in this country that most people just really don't think about.
Oh yeah, I live my life through people like AD and you who go out and show take shots all around the country that I can't seem to get to. So I enjoy watching those photos. And speaking of that, where's the best place for people if they want to follow Lisa, if they want to contact maybe you and wherever else? What's the best place for people to go to?
You can go to lisaspeakmanphotography.com and you'll see my blog there and all my travel stories. And then you'll also find all the links to all my social channels. You can friend me up on Facebook, on Google Plus, Instagram. I'm on all of them, but all the links are right there on my website. You can check out all the photos and read all the stories. And a lot of my stories, especially the ones that are more recent, have actual maps to where the place is. So if you're looking to go somewhere like checking out Fern Canyon, there's a map to where it's at on that blog post. And so yeah, everything you need to find out is right there on the blog.
Yeah, so I actually have it pulled up now, and over on the right hand, once you pull it up, you're greeted with a nice big photo, and then you scroll down a little bit, and you have her some of your blog entries. I think that's what those are, and then your all your contact information is right there. And you need, well then subscribe to the blog. You can subscribe to the blog right there and keep up to date on everything Lisa's up to.
Subscribe, and whenever there's a new post, you'll get it in your email. I promise, no spam. You'll just know when there's a new story up there.
Yeah. Very good, Lisa. Well, speaking of that, if somebody wants to come over to the JPEG to RAW and sign up for our newsletter, not only will you not get any spam, you probably won't get an email at all because I haven't done a newsletter yet. I eventually will do one, and try and do them every month or so. But you definitely won't get spam. So if you go over the JPEG to RAW, and you know what? I just got the domain. When I say JPEG to RAW, I've always thought of JPEG, the number 2 in the RAW. But you can also say JPG, take out the E out, to RAW. Well, either one will work. JPEG to RAW.com.
Nice.
And on our right-hand side, there's our newsletter sign up. You can go over there and sign up for a newsletter. And when I do a newsletter, you'll get one that way. So we'd love to have you subscribe to the newsletter, and we'd love to have you come out and join our forums, because just me out there is getting boring. So if you come over to the forums, which is jpegtoraw.com/forums, and then probably the best, the most active place for us is our Facebook group over at facebook.com/group/jpegtoraw. That is where we have a lot of activity, and we have most of our members, most of our social stuff's going on in that group. And where we have our monthly photo contest, I can see some entries already there. It's almost the end of the month. We got 2 more days left here, and the month's over. And if you win, you get your photo up at the top of the page here, and that's about it for right now. We're not giving out cash prizes, but you get your photo there, and then some other publicity that we do. Plus, now we're doing something with AD, a once-a-month review, where AD is going to go over and review the photos. I'm not sure everybody's following your direction quite yet, AD, but we'll get there. And AD will review the photos and give helpful feedback. That's one of the things I really am happy about with the contest, is the people who enter and people who listen to that show can get feedback from a professional that knows what he's doing, like AD, and learn from that. And take away things that you may not get if you just enter the contest and don't listen to that show. So come over and join us in that group. We'd love to have you over there. And don't forget, if you are going to buy something on Amazon, use our Amazon affiliate link, which is jpegtoraw.com/Amazon. You can always come over to our page, our website over there, and at the top of the page is a little Amazon link. Click that, then go to Amazon, and then we'll get a small credit. We use those funds to do the year-end photo contests, giveaways, other giveaways and contests, that kind of stuff. So we'd love to have you use our link for anything. It doesn't have to be something that is photography related. If you came in late and wanted to hear what did Lisa have to say at the beginning of the show, well, we do record it. The recorder is working. And where is my notes? So if you want to get the video, we have it on iTunes, of course. We have it on Vimeo and YouTube. And then the audio is available on Stitcher, Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podomatic, Podbean, and Google Play Music. And one of my favorite ways to get it now, Lisa, is
on the app.
On the app. And right now my phone's saying the device is full.
Uh-oh.
But you can get it on our app. We have an Android app and the iOS app. So either way, on your tablet and your phone, whatever else, you get both the video and the audio. And even, let's see, I'll go there, and the video review one. There's only one right now, but there's the one we did with A.D. Wheeler, that A.D. and I did on the review. So all that's out there. More to come later. It's free, no charge from us. I don't think iTunes or those guys don't charge you. I know Android doesn't.
Not yet.
Yeah, it's
find a
free.
way.
It's free, and it shouldn't have ads. I've stripped the ads out too because I didn't want those in there. So it should be a free and decent experience, and we'll keep improving it over time. So with that, that's all I had. Tim will be back hopefully next week. if he's not, still on his vacation. Bum.
Hopefully he's getting some really good shots.
He is, and he should be listening. There's no reason for him not to be listening when he's on vacation. What is he? You're not at the beach at 10 o'clock at night. Either way, we'll see you next week. Until then, keep it raw. Good night, everybody.